Taurus, what's approaching you now is not something you can plan for, work toward, or prepare in the usual way. It doesn't follow your familiar rules of effort, structure, or patience. This isn't the kind of change that happens because you tried harder, waited longer, or followed every step correctly. It's something much deeper, something that arrives not through logic, but through quiet, through stillness, through surrender. And even though it may feel unfamiliar, it's been waiting for you all along. This weekend, something inside you begins to turn. Not suddenly, not loudly, but so undeniably that you will not be able to go back to who you were before. It is what some would call a spiritual awakening, but not the kind filled with dramatic visions or flashes of light. No. For you, Taurus, it will feel more like a slow unraveling of weight you didn't even realize you were carrying, a soft cracking open of a space inside you that has remained untouched for years. Maybe longer. You've always been strong, steady, the one who keeps going when things fall apart. You've been the one others lean on, the one who holds it all together, the one who doesn't make a mess of things even when your heart is breaking. But this time, Taurus, it's not about holding it all together. It's about letting something fall apart, not your life, but a version of yourself that has quietly outgrown its shape. This weekend marks the start of that shedding. It's not loud. It's not chaotic, but it is sacred. And once it begins, it will move through every corner of your life, not to destroy what you've built, but to make space for something real to take root. What's waking up inside you isn't new. It's ancient. It's a part of you that has been asleep, waiting for the right time, the right conditions, the right moment when you would be soft enough to receive it. That moment is now, and you may not feel ready, but you are, because readiness doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from being willing to stop resisting what you already know, deep down. And what you know, Taurus, even if you've never said it aloud, is that something in your life has grown too quiet. You've been moving through the days, doing what's expected, showing up, staying safe, but underneath it all, there's been a whisper, a restlessness, a feeling that this can't be all there is. You may have ignored it, buried it beneath responsibilities, dismissed it as just a phase, just a mood. Just exhaustion. But the truth is, it's your soul calling you home. And this weekend, the call becomes louder. Not louder in volume, but in weight. You'll feel it not as a thought, but as a pull in your chest, a moment of stillness that stops you mid-sentence, a dream that leaves a mark you carry into your waking life, a wave of emotion that arrives without explanation. These aren't signs you're breaking down. They're signs you're waking up. And yes, I know that change isn't easy for you. You like things to be solid, predictably. You don't rush into anything without knowing how it ends. But this isn't that kind of change. This is the kind that asks you to trust without a map, to open your hands before you know what will fill them, to step into the unknown, not because it's easy, but because your soul has outgrown the space it's been trying to shrink itself into. You may not understand all of it right away. That's okay. You don't need to. What matters now is that you listen to your body, to your breath, to your own quiet knowing, because in those quiet moments when no one's asking anything of you, when the world feels still, you will start to feel something real moving inside you. A kind of peace that doesn't come from having control, but from releasing what you were never meant to carry in the first place. A kind of clarity that doesn't arrive with a checklist, but with a soft realization that you don't have to keep being who you were just to keep the world from changing around you. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about remembering the parts of you that got left behind in the rush to be useful, to be needed. to be safe. It's about coming back to your own center, not the version of you that holds it all together for everyone else, but the version that knows how to be soft, how to receive, how to be held. This weekend, you may find yourself drawn to silence, to nature, to moments that don't ask anything from you but presence. Don't dismiss that. Lean into it. Let yourself slow down enough to feel what's moving beneath the surface. Because what's happening now isn't just emotional. It's cellular. It's spiritual. It's a returning to something deeper than identity, something closer to essence. And when it moves through you, this subtle yet profound shift, you will not need to explain it. You may not have the words. Others may not even notice right away, but you will. You'll feel it in the way your body exhales more deeply, in the way you start to say no without guilt, in the way your heart no longer flinches when someone doesn't understand you. You'll stop needing to be understood to feel real. You'll stop needing to be chosen to feel worthy. You'll stop waiting for life to feel like yours and start living like it already is. This is what initiation feels like. It doesn't come with ceremony. It comes with presence. And it happens when a soul like yours finally stops waiting for permission and begins to walk in its own rhythm. You are being called into a quieter kind of power now. One that doesn't require performance or proof. One that's rooted, not restless. True, not polished. And the more you trust that voice inside you, the one that says this is the way, the more life will begin to rearrange itself to meet you where you are. Not where you pretend to be. Taurus, this weekend is not a disruption. It's a return. To your pace. To your truth. To your heart. You don't need to rush to meet it. Just be still enough to receive it. Taurus. Once this shift begins to settle in you, the world won't look the same, not because the world has changed, but because you'll start to feel differently in spaces that once felt familiar. Some people will still be in your life, but something about the way they talk, the way they expect, the way they lean on you, it might begin to feel heavier than it used to. And not because you're colder or less loving. In fact, it's the opposite. Because you've softened toward yourself, because you've started to hear your own needs clearly for the first time in a long while. You'll begin to notice where you've been giving too much, carrying too much, agreeing too often just to avoid conflict. You'll find that you no longer want to say yes just because it's easier than saying no. You won't feel the same urge to justify your boundaries or over-explain your silence. You'll simply feel more at peace letting things be what they are without contorting yourself to make everyone else more comfortable. And while that may confuse some people, the right ones, the ones who really see you, will not be surprised. They'll feel the shift too. Not as distance, but as clarity, not as withdrawal, but as grounded presence. This is what happens when a Taurus stops living from duty and starts living from truth. The pressure to perform begins to melt. The old stories of not enough start to lose their power. You begin to show up in rooms without wondering who you need to be that day. You start to trust that your quiet is enough, that your energy speaks louder than your effort ever did, and you begin to realize how deeply exhausting it has been to hold up everyone else's world while quietly ignoring the voice inside you that's been asking for rest. You may find yourself craving solitude more than usual. That's not isolation, it's integration. It's your soul asking for space to absorb what it's just remembered. Give yourself that space. The ones who love you will understand, and if they don't, that tells you something. 2. This transformation isn't just about what you let in, it's also about what you stop allowing. The energy of this season is clearing out what no longer fits, not because it's bad or broken, but because it's too small for the person you're becoming. And here's what's beautiful: once you begin to live from this place of inner alignment, you start to attract things that resonate with who you really are, not who you've had to be. People will begin to mirror your peace back to you. Conversations will take on a new depth. You'll notice moments of connection that feel easy, present, and honest without needing to perform. You won't need to heal relationships that keep circling the same pain. You'll either see growth or you'll release them. And both outcomes will feel like relief. This doesn't mean everything becomes perfect. You may still have moments of doubt, waves of sadness, moments where you question whether anything has truly changed. That's natural. Growth is not a straight line. It spirals. But what will be different is how you meet those moments. Instead of bracing yourself, you'll soften. Instead of pushing through, you'll pause. And in that pause, you'll hear yourself more clearly. You'll know what you need. And this time, you'll give it to yourself without guilt. This is the real heart of the awakening, not that you become someone completely new, but that you finally become someone safe to yourself. The inner dialogue shifts, the critic grows quieter, the fear begins to lose its grip, and slowly, over time, you begin to live your life from a center that isn't shaken by every external expectation. You begin to trust that being you without the extras, without the armor, without the disguise is not only enough, but it's the exact medicine you were always meant to bring into the world. Taurus, you don't need to rush this. It doesn't need to be impressive or visible to others. Let it be slow. Let it be subtle. Let it take root the way you take root firm. Quiet and unshakable. This is your way. And now, you finally have permission to return to it. Taurus, now that this shift has begun to settle into your bones, now that you've stopped fighting the silence, now that you've stopped trying to keep everything exactly as it was, something else begins to stir. It isn't loud. It doesn't come with fireworks or a grand announcement, but you'll feel it all the same. In the deeper rhythm of your days, a sense that your life is no longer just about holding things together or moving through routines. There's a new hum underneath it all now. A quiet call rising from the soil of your being, asking you to live from your core, not your conditioning. This is where purpose begins, not with a title, not with a career, not with a plan, but with presence. The more you come back to yourself, the more you'll begin to see how your very way of being is part of the medicine this world needs. You may have thought for years that you had to do something big to matter, chase a dream, accomplish something impressive, change the world from the outside. But what's becoming clearer now is that your real power isn't in what you chase. It's in what you anchor. Your presence calms the room. Your steadiness gives others space to exhale. Your simplicity is not a lack, it's a balm in a world that's addicted to chaos. And as you begin to live from this place more consistently, life begins to reshape itself around your truth. You won't need to force outcomes anymore. The right people, opportunities, and conversations will find their way to you because your energy is clear. You're no longer confusing the universe by sending mixed signals, pleasing one moment, resisting the next. Now, there is alignment. There is truth. There is quiet confidence, and that is a frequency that cannot be faked. What you're beginning to understand is that your soul didn't come here to rush. It didn't come here to compete. It came to remember, to restore, to build slowly and well. You are here to hold, not to impress, to create things that last, to bring beauty, peace, and rhythm to spaces that feel scattered and lost. You don't need to brand that. You don't need to market it. You just need to live it. Day by day, moment by moment. In the way you choose peace over reaction, in the way you pause before speaking, in the way you walk away from what doesn't feel right without needing to explain yourself. This is sacred work. And while the world may not always recognize it, your soul does. There's a kind of spiritual leadership that doesn't look like leadership at all. It looks like stillness. It looks like tending to your home, your body, your inner space. It looks like creating an environment that nourishes others without draining yourself. It looks like being someone others trust, not because you fix their lives, but because your energy reminds them of what safe feels like. Taurus, this quiet power you're stepping into, it's not temporary. It's not a phase. It's the foundation of the life you're meant to live. But it asks something of you. It asks that you let go of the version of yourself that was always trying to be enough in a world that doesn't even know how to measure worth. It asks that you stop bending to fit into roles that were never built for someone with your depth, your slowness, your sacred rhythm. It asks that you trust the deeper seasons of your own becoming quote tech, even when others are racing ahead. And it asks that you believe, truly believe, that being who you are, fully, unapologetically, and quietly is not a retreat from life. It is your contribution to it. There may still be moments ahead where you question this, where the old patterns pull at you, where the world feels too fast, too loud, too much. But those moments won't hold you the way they once did. You'll feel the pull. Yes, but you'll also feel the weight of what you'd be leaving behind if you went back. You'll remember the peace you found, the clarity, the soft, steady voice within you that no longer wants to be ignored. That's what this awakening is really about. It's not about fixing your life. It's about inhabiting it, fully, tenderly, truly. It's about remembering that the point was never to become something better. The point was always to come home to your truth, your pace, your place in the wider web of things. And from that place, Taurus, you won't need to search for your purpose. You'll live it. In the way you listen, in the way you protect your peace, in the way you teach others, simply by being exactly as you are. Taurus, once you stop holding yourself back, once you stop performing, pleasing, overthinking, or chasing what was never meant for you, life begins to respond in ways that feel almost too gentle to be real. But they are real, and they are not accidents. What you're about to experience is not the reward for perfection. It's the natural response to finally standing in your truth. People will start showing up differently, not all at once. And not everyone. Some may fall away quietly, unable to find their place in this new version of you. And that's okay. You're not losing them. You're simply no longer maintaining connections that were built on effort instead of energy. But others will find you, and when they do, it will feel like ease. Not because they're perfect, but because you no longer need to shrink yourself to keep them close. These people will feel safe, not because they say all the right things, but because their presence doesn't ask you to betray your own. You'll begin to notice that conversations deepen. You'll attract people who value the things you once hid: your stillness, your clarity, your ability to feel without chaos. They won't be looking for excitement. They'll be looking for substance. They'll recognize the quiet richness in you, or the steadiness you offer, the way your presence makes it easier to breathe. And they won't need you to perform to keep their attention. They'll be drawn to your center, not your surface. And it won't stop with people. You'll also begin to experience what many would call alignment. But for you, Taurus, it may feel more like relief. You'll stop forcing plans that never truly fit. You'll stop chasing opportunities that require you to compromise your rhythm. Instead, the right ideas will begin to emerge organically, like seeds finding soil. You'll feel drawn toward decisions that feel rooted and real, not flashy, not urgent, but clear. You'll stop asking, "What should I do next?" and begin to ask, "What feels real right now?" And the answers will come, not all at once, but steadily, consistently. And with that, your relationship with time will also begin to soften. Because once you're no longer rushing to catch up to some imagined timeline, life begins to meet you in the present. And that's when the small synchronicities start to unfold. You'll overhear a conversation that answers a question you didn't even know you were asking. You'll meet someone who speaks the truth you've been trying to articulate for months. You'll find the book, the song, the place that reminds you who you are, not because you were chasing them, but because you finally slowed down enough to let them reach you. Taurus, this is what happens when you stop living from the outside in and begin to live from the inside out. Your inner clarity becomes a compass. Your peace becomes a filter. Your values become a boundary that doesn't need defending. Taish. And from that place, you no longer attract from desperation, you attract from alignment. You'll notice that even in your work, things begin to shift. The pressure to constantly produce will ease. You'll become more intentional with your energy. You'll stop pouring effort into paths that never felt fully yours. And in that space, something new will begin to rise, not ambition, but purpose, not productivity, but fulfillment. You may even feel more creative, not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the sense that ideas flow more freely when you're no longer wrestling with who you need to be. Your natural rhythm begins to return. Your senses awaken. Food tastes richer. Music moves you. You notice beauty in the small things again. This is not coincidence. It's your nervous system healing. It's your soul remembering that it is safe to be here. Fully, softly, completely. And maybe the most beautiful part of all your relationship with yourself will begin to feel like home. You'll start waking up without dread. You'll move through the day without performing. You'll end the evening not with exhaustion, but with presence, because when you stop abandoning yourself, everything else begins to take its rightful place. You're not trying to fix your life anymore. You're letting your life finally fit you. Taurus, this isn't magic. It's not wishful thinking. It's what happens when you choose truth over performance. When you choose rest over rushing, when you finally realize that your value was never in what you could produce, or how well you could carry it all, or how long you could endure being misunderstood, your value is in how deeply you can root into what is real. And now that you've made that shift even quietly, even privately, the world is already responding. Every peaceful breath, every unforced decision, every honest no, every unguarded yes, it all sends a signal. And that signal says, I trust myself now. And once that signal goes out, Taurus, everything that was meant for you begins to find its way home. Taurus, before you close your eyes tonight, before the noise of the day dissolves into the quiet hum of your breath, I want you to notice how much softer the world feels now, not because it has changed, but because you have. And maybe you didn't notice it all at once. Maybe it didn't feel like a big moment or a sudden breakthrough, but somewhere in the silence of this weekend, something shifted, something settled, something surrendered. You're not holding your breath in the same way anymore. You're not carrying so much in the space behind your smile. And even if the world outside of you still moves too fast, even if not everyone understands what's changed, you feel it deep down where words don't reach. Something in you has begun to trust again. Not blindly, not in people, but in yourself, in the way your body responds to peace, in the way your heart softens when you tell the truth, in the way your soul exhales when you stop running from what it has always known. This weekend was never meant to fix you. You were never broken. You were tired. You were stretched. You were silent in places that longed for your voice. And now, you're coming back. Slowly, naturally, like the earth after winter, like breath after grief, like sunlight returning to a room that's been closed for too long. You may not have everything figured out yet. That's okay. You don't need clarity to rest. You don't need a destination to feel safe in the pause. You're allowed to be in between. You're allowed to be unsure. You're allowed to take your time, because your pace is not a problem, it's a gift. The world may try to speed you up, may try to sell you urgency as if it were truth. But you're starting to remember that truth has never been loud. It's been still, and it's been inside you this whole time. So tonight, as your head touches the pillow, I want you to ask yourself not what needs to be done, Not what's next. Not what's wrong, but simply this, what feels true in me right now. Maybe it's a desire for quiet. Maybe it's a gentle ache you've ignored for too long. Maybe it's the realization that you don't need to prove your worth anymore. Maybe it's just the knowing that your softness is not your weakness, it's your strength. And whatever rises, let it rise. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to name it. Just breathe with it. Let the weight lift. Let your shoulders drop. Let your heart beat slow. You have done enough for today. You are enough. Even now. Even here. Even in this imperfect unfolding. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not falling apart. You are becoming more honest, more whole, more rooted in what matters. And the world may not always reward that, but your soul does. Your nervous system does. Your breath does. And in the quiet of this night, that's enough. So sleep now. Taurus, let the soil of your life hold you. Let the moonlight remind you that even the darkest hours are filled with cycles, that nothing truly good can be rushed, that your timing has always been sacred. You are no longer becoming someone new. You are returning to someone real. You are home now.